First of all, just a big shout out to Pal Football League coming out here and got to stretch with the guys a little bit beforehand. So just to feel their excitement, the love for the game, it was just something that we were talking about, just kind of looking for. We broke the team down before they scrimmaged, and Corbett said the same thing. He was like, guys, remember what it felt like the first time you got out there. So really cool to have that energy out here. And then, of course, just 2 days removed from a game, had a good opportunity to really work in the heat today. This is 1 o'clock kickoffs, right? So just getting ready to work. A lot of times, things aren't going to be perfect, but can we refocus with the challenges of the weather and the different things like that? So,
do you have updates on Cade and Jaden Crumity?
Yeah, so Cade had a shoulder and AC sprain, so that'll be a couple of weeks for us to get him back out there. And then Crumity, that was a high ankle sprain, and so I'm not sure the exact timetable there. I'll be able to give you more information on that. Anybody else?
Nash was able to join you guys in practice today.
Yes, Nash was back. So that was Colby Russell Jensen was born. Good solid 8-pounder. He was able to be there, and then he was back in the building today for practice. So we were all excited to congratulate him.
Clowney bang up his hand or finger or something? It looked like he was pretty heavily bandaged.
I don't know that. I wasn't aware of that. But he practiced hard today, so he got some good work in. He took advantage of this opportunity, and he definitely made some things hard for us today.
And Bedara, he left the game early the other night.
Yeah, just he's been just kind of nursing a knee, and then just got twisted up a little bit. Structurally, there wasn't anything wrong there, but there's something in there, so we just had to follow up with our evaluation and make sure that we take care of him so we can get him back out there at some point.
And Damien?
Yeah, Damien's a family issue, and I want to just kind of keep it at that. It's a little bit private there, but he wasn't with us today. Just he went home to take care of some family stuff.
Dave, you talked about this being the first practice after that first preseason game. I'm just curious, what are you able to do in a practice like this that you weren't before, now that you have some game tape to work with these guys and fix some things?
Yeah, the film's invaluable for everybody, right? And we know we had a number of guys that didn't play, but to see those reps, to see the little adjustments and the things that we can improve on, is huge. So we took advantage of that. And then just today on the field, it's kind of like you're practicing two teams almost. You got a group of guys who didn't play in the game, so we're pushing them to get their running in. You got a whole other group who some of those guys played, 50 plus reps in this game and just were completely just outstanding. 5 linemen to get us through it at the end. Guys like Nick Thurman, TJ Smith, who just really, battled the whole time to make sure we had people in the rotation there. So I'm really proud of those guys. Jamie Robinson, special teams, nickel, safety, just all over the field, being able to just help us. And for those guys, what a great opportunity to get more film on tape to just improve, and to really show us what they're about.
You've praised Iku quite a bit, even before camp started. What you saw in the Chicago game, for instance. What have you noticed about him that you maybe didn't see from tape so far in camp?
I mean, he kind of showed us what he is again. It's consistent. It was consistent from what I saw on film. It's a guy with high effort. Just his pass rushes, playing the run physically, special teams, just really laying it all out there. And so he really just showed me what it looks like in person to see the type of effort and who he is as a guy.
Kickoff rule and practice a lot, but having actually now seen it in a game, was there anything that maybe you learned differently about it, or a way you want to practice it differently having now seen it?
Yeah, just see the challenges of the different angles of the blocks, and the ball changes direction pretty quickly. Very similar to an offensive play that's a downhill run that bounces, and all of a sudden the blockers have to re-engage on the defender, in space as they're running away from you. So I just kind of noticed some of those challenges, and particularly for the kickoff unit, for those guys is just fitting those gaps off of each other, and being able to team tackle things. So we learned a lot from those reps.
You were pretty heavily involved in special teams. Have you thought about taking the return as just like a simulation to kind of see what guys are seeing, just in general?
I mean, for me, my biggest emphasis right now is just to make sure that we're all healthy. So I'm trying to stay out of the melee if I can. So.
How did the mechanics go the other night of calling plays and being the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, that was the funnest part for me, was the conversations with the officials. This is what the penalty is going to look like. You can take it here, or we can decline it, and it's this down. We had a chance to get a replay on a defensive snap where it looked like their player hit the ground, and so the communication with George Lee upstairs was fantastic. We were able to get a successful challenge. And then just to kind of feel like the officials give you time and they try as best they can to explain exactly what's happening, what they saw, and what they called. So, the challenge for me is when the defense is out there, to be in tune to what's happening on the field in case they need me for something, for a timeout or to get involved in some way, while trying to collect the information from the last offensive drive. So that was a really cool challenge. I'm looking forward to another opportunity this week to do that.
How did that work, brother? You had somebody upstairs talking to you too about the potential of the play? Was it all on you?
Yeah, that's George Lee upstairs giving me information about what he saw. And so we were able to kind of work, through that and collect information live, kind of live feeding it to me about be aware of this situation. We got to some end of half, end of game things for potential use of timeouts, to give us a chance to get back out there.
Did you have a relationship with, George was here last year and obviously worked in Indy for a while. Did you have a relationship with him before you joined the staff?
I did not, just from his reputation and guys that I know that have worked with him, he came highly recommended.
Xavier doing some running today before practice. Is he closer? How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing great. So it's really again, it's kind of a day-to-day thing, and we're trying to just get the discomfort out of the foot completely cleared up before we start getting him into like really fast change of direction things, So the inline stuff is great, and we'll be smart about that and bring him along.
First time we've seen you since the plane incident after the game. Tell us about that. What stood out for you on that?
Yeah, really, it was a clean, safe landing. We were on the ground, and then as we were taxiing, the plane was under control. We felt a little jolt, and the pilot, informed us that there was something going on, that they're going to have to bring people out to evaluate. So I promptly went to sleep and was like, okay, I know these things from flying commercial, and it might take some time. So I took a little nap, and then next thing you know, I'm getting kind of jolted, and we hopped on buses and we made it to our cars safely. So for me, there's only one way to grade landings, and that's safely. And so that's a pass-fail deal, and he passed it, with flying colors, and the rest of it we'll kind of deal with,
Dave, you've kind of always been praised by coaches, players for being so detail-oriented. Now that you've gotten through your first preseason game, how are you balancing, whether it's practice, meetings, games, like delegating versus wanting to still be involved in those details?
I'm in great hands with great coordinators. Brad doing a fantastic job organizing the things day to day from practices, the prep for the game. Ajero, clearly, they have a plan. They have a process of what they're doing. I'm just kind of poking my head in to say, hey, what's the game plan? What do the calls look like this game? What should I be looking for? Tracy Smith, a guy that I have so much history with, taking care of the special teams unit. And I know how challenging it can be. Substituting special teams in the preseason is probably one of the most underrated jobs, in the NFL is as guys are up or down and they change within the drives, just being able to get 11 out there for punt returns and the different teams, it's a real challenge. And I think outside of one time, we had the right guys out there, and we were able to do that. So really trusting those guys to do a job well, then I can kind of feel the whole group. How much do we need to push these guys, the load of the thing, and then being able to enter into the offense and be involved with the quarterback and making sure that we're continuing to push our tempo, push the style of play, the attacking mindset offensively that we're looking for.
One more question. All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.